the Eagles get past Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins, who are now 5-2. The better story, though, in the losing locker room. So let us discuss, how do you dissect the Dolphins after this defeat? So I've got DC Comics, Ed Sheeran, and Zebras. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a tasty cake, which is what the Eagles had to celebrate their victory. They each had their own tasty cake. Boy, were they happy. So number one. Dolphins, Eagles. For Miami and for Philadelphia, but more so for Miami because they're the interlopers. The Miami Dolphins are the interlopers. This was a measuring stick game. How do you measure up? You're the Dolphins. You got all these big offensive point totals, big yardage totals. How do you measure up? Miami has been absolutely slicing up the impoverished teams of the NFL. They are not battle-tested. In fact, to prove my point, if you watch the TV show Benny versus the Penny, we referenced this statistic. It is the mother of all stats heading into the weekend in the NFL. The Dolphins were 5-0 against teams that had a collective 5-24 record entering the weekend. The only team with a quality record that the Dolphins played was the Buffalo Bills, and they lost by a gazillion points. So the Dolphins, on the spectrum of crap, right? They're on the crap spectrum. When you're just beating up bad teams, and then the one decent team you play, you lose to. So now you're playing another good team. And how did they do in this placement test? Well, on the MALLER report card, Miami gets an F+, as in failure plus garbage. F+ for the Miami Dolphins here. The Dolphins were averaging 37.2 points per game and 498.7 yards per game. Now, the numbers were skewed because the Denver Broncos quit in a game against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins ran up the score. But still, 37.2 points per game and 498.7 yards per game. That goes against what was the 9th-ranked defense in the NFL. The Eagles had the 9th-ranked defense coming in. So how did this turn out? Well, Miami put up 17 points and 244 yards on Sunday night, but even that is misleading because 7 of those points were courtesy of a pick six gifted by Jalen Hurts. So the Miami offense only scored 10 points and had 244 yards against the Eagles defense. And Tua Tagovailoa, if you put a halfway decent defense out there, Tua is a mid-quarterback. He's a mid-level baseline quarterback. And in this game, averaged less than 7 yards per attempt, had a touchdown, the interception, passer rating below 88. It was 87.5, which is a college jazz station somewhere, 87.5. And when playing a halfway decent competitor, when that happens, Tua becomes the Green Arrow. Now, if you follow superheroes at all, you know the Green Arrow is one of the DC Comics superheroes that has no special powers or abilities. Right? Most superheroes have some kind of an amazing superpower or ability, but no, the Green Arrow does not. Tua I guess he has a bow and arrow, like the green arrow there, and that's what Tua uses, the bow and arrow against opposing defenses. And so that's where we are. Clearly that didn't work so well in the game on Sunday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, page 2 here. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up or thumbs down on the question, do the Eagles have a issue with Jalen Hurts all of a sudden? I said, well, they won the game. What are you talking about? I'm going thumbs up. Call me crazy, but just call me. Now, this is a minor situation, but file this away because it's becoming bigger and bigger by the week. All of a sudden, Jalen Hurts has mastered the art of the mistake. Now, he's morphing into that Ed Sheeran tune, Bad Habits. There are bad habits here that are popping in that will derail the green team. The Kelly Green team there. And the mistakes are piling up. Now, in this game, you saw the Sunday night game, Jalen Hurts, he let the Dolphins hang around because of turnovers. Mentioned Miami as a team scored 17 points, 10 on offense. But really, if you peel back the curtain a little bit more, 10 of the points scored by the Miami Dolphins were courtesy of mistakes by Jalen Hurts. You break it down. Jalen fumbled the ball in the first quarter. The Dolphins recovered at the Eagles' 23-yard line, and they got a field goal. And Hurts also had a deflected pass that was returned 22 yards by Jerome Baker, the touchdown maker, the linebacker for the Eagles, and that was in the third quarter. So right there's 10 points. Eagles defense did their job. But Jalen Hurts now, if you go back the last couple of weeks, Hurts has now had 6 turnovers in the last 3 games. 6 turnovers in the last 3 weeks, 5 interceptions, and a lost fumble. Who goofed? I've got to know. I think we know. The Eagles now have been able to bail him out in most of these games. They didn't bail him out in the Jets game. He lost that one. But the Rams game I was at, I saw the Eagles in person that game. And then this game on the Sunday night, the Eagles able to bail him out. It's not a sustainable formula. So the Eagles are winning. They're 6-1, and everyone's all horny and excited for Eagle football. But this is the kind of thing that will absolutely harpoon your season. All right. Now, final point. Let's take a couple steps back, and we'll look at the big picture. The headline here from the referee department of the NFL. So not just in the Sunday night game, but across the schedule. If you were watching football all day, and you were observing the football all day, are the NFL officials meddling with the outcome of our football games? And the only answer which is acceptable is absolutely. Absolutely. I was at a game where I saw something that was not kosher. And the Sunday night game, there was some funny business going on. There is no rhyme or reason to how games are called. The NFL likes to joke around, and they like to point out, scripted. They like to play that up. But it does make you wonder. It makes you wonder what's really going on in those Park Avenue offices when you see some of the shenanigans that happen on a weekly basis. And Sunday's a great example. For reference, we'll start back in Philly. The Eagles were the better team, but they had the Zebras in their back pocket. The Zebras were in the back pocket of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I was happy I had the Eagles in the game, but the Dolphins were called for 10 penalties for 70 yards. The Eagles had no penalties the entire game. They apparently played a perfect game. The Philadelphia Eagles had 0 penalties in the entire game. Now, keep in mind, if you've ever played football or just watched football, you know that you can literally and figuratively call holding on every single possession. So if the referees wanted to, they could have called a couple of holding penalties against the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are normally drive killers. They chose not to do that. And so it doesn't pass the smell test. And there was also a face mask penalty that was not called against the Eagles. It was not called late in that game. Bad job by the referees. How about an Indy? The Horseshoes, with under a minute left in that game in the fourth quarter, Browns drove deep down into Indianapolis territory before quarterback P.J. Walker fumbled. He fumbled the ball after a sack, and it was recovered by DeForest Buckner of the Colts. All right, that's a game-changing play right there. However, wait a minute. Indianapolis defensive back Darrell Baker, whoever that is, was called for illegal contact, and that gave Cleveland the football and a fresh set of downs. And then right after that, Baker was called for defensive pass interference on a wishy-washy situation. It was an uncatchable football, and that set up the Browns 1st and goal to go at the goal line, and Cleveland running back Kareem Hunt eventually scored the game-winning touchdown, and that gave the Cleveland football team a 1-point win over the Indianapolis football team. The game I was at, the Rams and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Steelers won by a touchdown in another case where I think we had a Yinzer as a referee here. It was a 4th and 1 late in the game, couple minutes to go in the game. Kenny Pickett does not get the first down. He comes up a half a yard short, clear as can be, not even close. It's not even like you have to go to replay, except the referee wearing his terrible towel underwear went out there and clearly before the line to gain, Kenny Pickett was short of it, and the referee placed the ball, first down, game over, that's it, rather than giving the Rams possession a chance to go down and tie the game and force that game to go to overtime. And does the NFL care about any of this stuff? Does the NFL? No, they don't. They probably like it. Why? Because we're talking about it. Anything that creates conversation, they like it. They enjoy it.